For over 5,000 years, humanity has built civilizations and destroyed them. We have written poetry, created breathtaking art, landed on the moon, yet we continue to wage war. The weapons have changed, from bronze swords to drone warfare and robotic soldiers. But the question remains the same. Why do human beings keep fighting one another? Is war inevitable, or is it simply the result of political failures and human ambition? The answer is more complicated than most people realize. War is rarely caused by a single event. It emerges from a combination of fear, power, resources, national identity, and sometimes simple miscalculation. Part 1. Power, the desire to dominate. Throughout history, one cause appears again and again. Power. Kings wanted larger kingdoms. Empires wanted more territory. Modern states seek influence over regions, trade routes, and strategic resources. History is filled with leaders who believed expansion would bring security or prosperity. Alexander the Great, the Roman Empire, Napoleon, Imperial Japan, Nazi Germany, the colonial empires of Europe. Expansion often promised wealth and prestige, but it also produced resistance. When one nation grows stronger, others become nervous, and that fear can become the beginning of war. Part 2. The security dilemma. One of the greatest paradoxes in international politics is known as the security dilemma. Imagine your neighbor builds an arsenal of weapons. You might assume they're preparing for conflict. So you build an even greater defense force. Your neighbor now feels threatened and responds by strengthening their own defenses. Neither side wanted war, yet both become increasingly suspicious. The same thing happens between nations. Countries increase military spending to protect themselves. Their rivals interpret those actions as aggression, which creates an arms races, distrust, and eventually, conflict. History shows that many wars begin not because nations seek conquest, but because they fear being conquered first. Part 3. Resources. Wars have often been fought over the things societies need to survive, such as land, water, food, oil, minerals, and trade routes. As populations grow and economies expand, competition for scarce resources intensifies. The search for fertile farmland shaped ancient empires. Control of sea lanes influenced European colonial expansion. Oil transformed 20th century geopolitics. Today, some analysts argue that access to rare earth minerals, energy supplies, and even fresh water may become increasingly important sources of international tension. While resources rarely explain an entire war, they often make existing disputes far more dangerous. Part 4. Ideology. Not every war is fought for wealth. Some are fought for ideas. Democracy versus authoritarianism. Capitalism versus communism. Religious conflict. National liberation, revolution. When people believe they are fighting for a sacred cause, compromise becomes far more difficult. History demonstrates that ideological conflicts often become especially intense because each side believes its own values are morally superior. Ideas can inspire extraordinary courage, but they can also justify extraordinary violence. Part 5. Nationalism. Humans naturally form groups, families, communities, nations. National identity can unite millions of people around a shared language, culture, and history. It can inspire remarkable acts of cooperation and sacrifice. But nationalism also has a darker side. When love of one's own nation transforms into hatred or contempt for others, conflict becomes more likely. History repeatedly shows that wars often emerge when political leaders convince populations that another group represents an existential threat. Fear becomes a powerful political tool. Part 6. Economic pressures. Economic instability has contributed to many major conflicts such as high unemployment, inflation, financial crises. Governments facing domestic problems sometimes become tempted to redirect public frustration toward external enemies. This does not mean economic hardship automatically causes war, since most countries experiencing recessions remain peaceful. But economic stress can make societies more vulnerable to political extremism and international confrontation. Part 7. Miscalculation. Perhaps the most overlooked cause of war is simply human error. History is full of leaders who believed conflicts would be short, easy, limited. But many were disastrously wrong because of poor intelligence, miscommunication, overconfidence, and false assumptions. Small mistakes can produce enormous consequences. Some historians argue that the First World War spread not because leaders wanted a global catastrophe, but because they repeatedly underestimated how quickly events would spiral beyond their control. Sometimes wars begin not through careful planning, but through catastrophic misjudgment. Part 8. Human nature. Some philosophers have argued that war reflects something deeper, such as human nature itself. Thomas Hobbes believed conflict was an unavoidable consequence of competition and insecurity. Others disagree. They argue humans are equally capable of cooperation, empathy, and peace, and history supports both views. We have fought devastating wars, but we have also built international organizations, humanitarian law, peace treaties, and institutions designed to reduce conflict. Perhaps the capacity for both violence and cooperation exists within every society. The outcome depends on which qualities we choose to cultivate. Can war be prevented? If war has so many causes, can it ever truly disappear? Probably not entirely. But history also shows that its frequency and scale can be reduced through diplomacy, economic cooperation, international trade, education, strong institutions, respect for international law, and communication between rivals. These mechanisms cannot eliminate conflict, but they can reduce the likelihood that disagreements become battlefields. Peace is not the absence of disagreement, it is the successful management of disagreement. Conclusion. So, what causes war? The desire for power, fear, competition over resources, ideology, nationalism, economic pressure, miscalculation, and sometimes human ambition itself. War is rarely inevitable, nor is it ever simple. Understanding its causes does not excuse its consequences, but it may help us recognize the warning signs before violence begins. Perhaps the greatest lesson history offers is this: wars do not simply appear overnight, they are built gradually, through distrust, fear, division, and failed communication. If that is how wars begin, then perhaps the path to peace begins in exactly the opposite way, with dialogue, understanding, and the recognition that every conflict carries a cost far greater than most leaders imagine. What do you think is the single greatest cause of war? Power? Religion? Resources? Nationalism? Or something else entirely? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us as we continue exploring the forces that have shaped human civilization, geopolitics, and history. Until next time, stay curious and keep asking questions.